everybody will agree with him on what he does. We come before you, Lord, and say, here is this NGC. We are the halfway of the mandate that your people gave this leadership. Be our God. We call upon you, Lord, that we pray for this national dialogue. That yes, indeed, it must happen, so that we hear the cries of your people and the lament of the nation as to what it is the country that would like to have. Here I now commend this NGC unto you. Let it be peaceful. Let it be robust. Let your people engage constructively. Let us experience the festival of ideas that will make this ANC to go stronger and stronger. We call on you to say shame to those who think that it has come to the end. But show them that you are the God who you did in 1912 at the altar in Bloemfontein, and you blessed this organization. But by so doing, make us to be humble and never to be complacent. As much as we know that we are not worthy of the chances that you give to us all the time, because your people are hungry, because your people are still experiencing inequalities, because your people are still unemployed, because your people are languishing in something that is not worthy of our promise. But come and be within this NGC. Lead it under the leadership of this leadership. And we pray that as we come before you in faith, indeed, you shall hear our prayers and be our God. We call on all these things in the name of the great and divine Creator, now and forevermore. Amen. We will now light the candle to remember the scourge that faces our nation. The scourge of gender-based violence, especially this time of 16 days of activism. We will be more calling on men to come and light these candles. As they come, they must carry the conviction that says, it will not happen in my name. As we invite the President and the members of the officials to come and join us to light these candles. We light the candles for the hope that in the name of the Creator we'll be able to deal with this scourge. I will also call the Mama Tolashe to come up, and we will participate in this ceremony.
We are now giving the president and the executive the candles to light in the name of Jesus. The president of the Women's League, Umama Utolashe, is also here. Our Deputy President, Utata Upol Mashatile, our Secretary General, Utata Umbalula, our TG, Umama Uramuhupa, our first DSG, Umama Unomvula Mukonyane, our second DSG, Umama Uramuhupa, are also here. I also want to invite the president of the Veterans League to come forth, the president of the Youth League and the secretary of the Youth League to come forth. Yes, sir. Veterans League is coming, Utata Usnuki Zigalala.
Thank you very much, the chaplain.
Utata Usnugi Zigalala, the president of the Veterans League, our president of the Youth League, Utatu Colin Malachi. Can we have the SG of the African National Congress Women's League? Ungaba. Amen. Magabo balibongwe.
The provincial chairpersons of the ANC.
Can we please have the SG of the Veterans League? Amanda. Simbizile. Is the SG of the Youth League here? Siyamcela uphi? Oh, nanku. Tata. Amen. Amen.
Can I proceed? Tell Mama it's in Mama, can I proceed?
Okay, I'm being corrected here. We are requested to call the presidents of the African National Congress Women's League. Mabeze, all the 8 provinces, Malibongwe Women's League, Siani. Oh, the ANC, sorry. All the ANC chairpersons. I the Women's League, Matota. Can we please call the chairpersons of the ANC? Sicela ukubiza umkhonto wesizwe wethu uze phambili. Amen. Then I will give over to our president of the Women's League to take over.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the chaplaincy of the African National Congress led by Bishop Meane. May you also please call the president of Sanko to come forward. And the leader of Alliance Communist Party, the president of the COSATU that is here, all 9 provincial chairpersons of the African National Congress, can you please come forward? If we don't have time, can you make it a little bit snappy? All 9 provincial chairpersons of the ANC, can you please come forward? The president of Sanko, the president of COSATU, the leader of Umkhonto Sizwe. Comrades, can you please proceed now? To the national chairperson of the African National Congress, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, the officials of the ANC, the president of the ANC, the NEC members of the ANC, the leaders of the mass democratic movement, our leaders and our partners, the excellencies that are here today, all the branches and the structures of the ANC in South Africa, Sanbanani, Dr. Mahana and the president of the ANC, indeed. Comrades, chairpersons, can you make it snappy, please? Provincial chairpersons of the ANC, provincial chairpersons and the convener of the PTTs, can you please come forward? The president of Sanko, the leader of the Communist Party, Umkhonto Sizwe. Can you all have our candles on the hand, please, comrades? Can you make it snappy? And we are now proceeding, comrades. As I've greeted the national chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, the chaplains of the African National Congress led by Bishop Meana, the NEC of the ANC, the leader of the Alliance, the leaders of the mass democratic movement, the excellencies and our partners that are here today, distinguished guests, our structures, the ANC Women's League, the Youth League, all structures of our organization, the glorious movement that are here today, Sandaman. Indeed, comrades, gender-based violence and femicide is a war against women and children. And this is why we thank the President of the ANC and the Republic for classifying the gender-based violence femicide as a national disaster. Comrades, we give a round of applause to the President Cyril Ramaphosa to take this drastic step and declare the scourge. Comrades, a national disaster means that will be tasked for all of us as an organization and its partners to come up with programs for us to be able to do something in fronting and confronting gender-based violence. We, by the end of this National General Council, we will have committed everybody under the roof for all of us to go back and not only talk about gender-based violence and femicide, but do something drastic about it. Comrades, we are lighting these candles because we are committing our leadership here today to go back home and start from home to know that umfazi, umntwana, umama akabethwa. Sifukela namhlanje siqonde sazi siyokushumayela ukuthi it is a sin and a crime ukuphakamisa isandla kumama, kwintombazana, kumntwana oyintombazana. Comrades, sisono esingaxolelekileyo ukuzithathela ngendluzulu to rape omama, amantombazana nabantwana. Today we want this NGC to commit that is taking it upon himself for all of us to be in the forefront to fight the scourge and make sure that we are part of those who will be accounted to be fearless in confronting gender-based violence. We see this skewed arrangement, Comrade President, in front of us, that everybody that is standing before us, majority are males, unfortunately. And this is why we call upon them, males as they are, but they are leaders of our glorious movement. Follow President Ramaphosa to be brave enough and confront gender-based violence. We've spoken about it, comrade, but now we are calling upon that our leaders in particular must do something about it. Comrades, we are not wanting to see it in papers. We want you to see you on the streets, in the villages, leading the forces that will be saying gender-based violence is a crime and therefore something must be done about it. Today, in the declaration of this National General Council of the ANC, would want to see this NGC coherently to say, not only we know, not only we said something, but from today we are going to be counted along with those who have done something in fighting the scourge. We are happy that our president have led us as the ANC, the mass democratic movement, and the country. And now we are now expected to follow and make sure that we put in a contribution and a meaningful one. And that will make an impact in what we are facing, which is gender-based violence and femicide. Thank you so much, Comrade President, for really making sure that you lead from the front in making sure that even when opportunistic tendencies wanted to grab and run with what is a pain to South African women and progressive forces, but you assisted us to say it belongs here. This is the family that knows that women have a right themselves to be part and parcel of this South Africa, and peace shall be the order of the day. Comrades, thank you so much for allowing us for this opportunity. By the 8th of March in 2026, we'll see all 9 provinces under your leadership, Matamela. These comrades that are standing in front of all of us, they will be consolidating their program in their respectful provinces, in doing something meaningful, in making sure that they are in the forefront to fight gender-based violence and femicide. In those few words, we thank the opportunity, national leadership, and our chaplainship. Kakhulu kakhulu, sibonga wena mongameli, ngobugxathu obubonakalisileyo ukuthi uphakamisa isandla ukhokhele ngaphambili uthi ilizwe lonke malihambe nawe lilwe indluzulwa yokuhlukunyezwa komama nabantwana. Gone are the days, comrades, when you are called by the name of the ANC, you will be allowed to embark on gender-based violence. We are calling upon all of us to make sure that now we change the gear and make sure that we all do something about it. I thank you very much, Chair.
Bona Yeswela kowe etokole elizonoza alo ngaito bingomboya akho uze wose sapho uposes the gear. Are you giving them the gear? Yes. Thank you. Purple. Which means it's a United Nations color. In the declaration. It's a terrible color. They are now being given the color that has been declared by the United Nations. Thank you very much. We may now request the leaders, after they've received their gear, to go back to their places. And we switch off our candles. Thank you very much. We switch it.
Mall. No. Go back there, no ball. Comrades, Molo por Khalima. Aibo Molo por Khalima. Shelo zizi yabo. Mamelani ke. Masicela uPanyaza asamkele. Panyaza. Uphi? Samkele mfundini. Samkele mfundini.
Amandla. Viva the African National Congress. Viva. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Rikwala. Long live. Ripilele President Ramaphosa. Ripilele President Ramaphosa. Ripilele. Phansi nge-AfriForum, phansi nge-AfriForum, phansi phambili nge-African National Congress, phambili nge-Alliance, phambili aluta niyabasabana. Thank you so much, National Chair. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa and all former presidents of our movement and our country. I want to acknowledge members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress and our leagues, all our alliance partners present, the leadership of Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans, and all our international guests, chaplain, and representative for various religious movements, fellow delegates. On behalf of our structures in Gauteng, in particular our branches, and the Provincial Alliance structure, and the broad mass democratic movement in Gauteng, we feel truly honored to welcome you to the province that is the custodian of the mortal remains of our leaders. It is here that we are taking care of Comrade Oliver Tambo. It is here that we are taking care of the remains of Comrade Chris Hani, Joe Slovo, Solomon Mahlangu, Walter Sisulu, Albertina Sisulu, Comrade Betha Towa, and many other leaders that have fallen. Comrade President, sadly, here in our province at this moment, the soil is soaked in blood after the brutal killing of 12 people in Sosville in Tshwane. We also had the brutal killing of Witness D in Brakpan, and the killing of the chairperson of the Alexander Taxi Association. 2 weeks ago, the principal and the clerk at the school in Engliweni were also brutally killed in our school premises. We come to you, President, to request that we send a very strong message to criminals. Their time is over and they must leave us. We can't allow our country to face this high number of crimes and high number of kidnappings and killings almost on a daily basis. As we join our women and our children in rejecting those that continue to kill them, we also want to urge that criminals must now stop killing our people. Comrade President, we also gather here to plan for the future. If we are not careful about this future, the children and the youth that need to own this future might not be there, as majority of our children are going through difficulties of drugs. These drugs are killing our children and are killing our youth. And we need to put an end to this because they stand a better chance to wipe up an entire nation. Comrades, as we welcome you here, let this NGC be the real turning point for the glorious movement of our people and the continent. As we welcome you here, we do so, knowing very well that the 5th National General Council of the ANC will be characterized by debates and discussions that will once more cement the role of the ANC as the parliament of the people. Like we did, Comrade President, with G20 delegates, we remain proud and ready to lay the red carpet for all of you, the delegates of the 5th NGC of the ANC. It was in 1987 in Arusha, in Tanzania, when President O.R. Tambo said, and I quote, "Millions of our people are committed to carry out the task of freeing themselves. What they require of us, their liberation movement, is that we organize, we mobilize, and we lead them into a continuous assault on the apartheid regime," end of quote. We hope this is the same spirit that will prevail in this NGC. Once more, comrades, we wholeheartedly, on behalf of the provincial task team of the ANC, welcome you home here in Gauteng. Asina mona, asina nzondo, siyayidumisa i-ANC. You are all welcome, comrades. Thank you.
Undiphoxile ke Panyaza. Undiphoxe kakhulu. Benizawuqala ngokuthi hoyi hoyi kangothi. Okay. Makasicele upresident asinike political overview yale NGC now. Kanifake ingoma nemphakamisi. Yekala ukule zabalazo wakalwa
Mandla. Amandla. Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Malibongwe! Igama lamakhosikazi. Forward with the ANC Youth League, forward! Forward with the ANC Veterans League, forward! Mandla! National Chairperson, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, Siaparangwe, Mayor Sophie de Bruyn, former president and deputy presidents of the African National Congress, the leadership of the ANC Veterans League, the Women's League, the ANC Youth League, representatives of MK Liberation War veterans, representatives and leaders of the Alliance and the Democratic Movement, and comrades from our sister liberation movements from neighboring countries and other organizations, delegates and comrades, I greet you all. It is indeed an honor to present the political report to the 5th National General Council of the African National Congress. As we gather here, let us remember the stalwarts, the leaders and cadres of our movement who have passed away since we met at the 55th National Conference in December 2022. The senior members of our movement who passed away during this time, including former Deputy President David Mabuza, Mama Gertrude Shope, Comrade Frini Jinwala, Tito Mboweni, Member TC Mladlana, Praveen Godan, Comrade Violet Siwela, Professor Sibusiso Bengu, Chris Mahlako, Aziz Pahad, Isop Pahad, Lungi Kabashe, Tina Jomat Peterson, and Natim Tetwa, among others who were leaders at the national level. There are many others who also passed away, who were leaders at provincial, regional, and branch level. We pay tribute to these gallant freedom fighters. To honor their lives and contribution, we should continue the struggle to which they dedicated their lives. May we show our respect and rise and observe a moment of silence in their memory and in their honor. Thank you, comrades. It is quite hot here, and we have asked that they should open the air conditioners at full blast. So we apologize for the heat that is being generated here. And to the media, the heat is not being generated by difficult debates and discussions. It's just the inability of the air conditioners to work at full blast. Comrades, this year marks the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, which declared that our country would not grow and our people would not prosper until all of us live in a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa. The fulfillment of the aspirations set out in the Freedom Charter remains the central objective of the National Democratic Revolution. The NEC declared on 8th January this year as the year of renewal to make the ANC a more effective instrument of the people to achieve the vision of the Freedom Charter, that the people shall govern, the people shall share in the country's wealth. The NGC-based document that will be presented here and will form a central part of our discussions to this NEG further summarizes the vision of the National Democratic Revolution correctly as being the creation of the National Democratic Society with the following attributes: a united, capable, and ethical developmental state based on the will of the people, regardless of race, sex, belief, language, ethnicity, or geography, incorporating representative, participatory, and deliberative elements so that the people shall govern. Another attribute is about improving quality of life for all through access to affordable, quality basic services, equal rights and human dignity, and broad opportunities for every citizen. An inclusive, transformed, and thriving economy that offers decent livelihoods to all, including restoring the birthright of all South Africans to access land, the nation's wealth, finance, and other resources within a growing, integrated African continental economy. A nation with a common identity as an African country underpinned by non-racialism, non-sexism, unity in diversity, and a spirit of global human solidarity. Given the evolving terrain of struggle, one of the questions as delegates to this NGC we are asked to consider is whether the fundamental assumptions of the NDR still hold today. The historical theory of change that has guided our movement now faces new and complex realities. Understanding the implications of these complex realities is fundamental to repositioning the African National Congress and the broader alliance within the ongoing struggle for fundamental transformation. The balance of forces is always in motion, shifting both locally and globally. Equally, the strategic and ideological cohesion of the alliance is now in question. The path forward demands ideological clarity, political discipline, foresight, firmness of principle, and tactical agility within the context of a renewed strategic posture capable of guiding the next phase of the NDR. During this NGC, delegates are called upon to firstly reflect on the 30 years of democracy, and secondly to assess the balance of forces and the current conjuncture. Thirdly, to characterize the nature of the crises we face and the implications for the NDR. And fourthly, to determine what should be done to address the challenges that we face as a nation and as an organization. We are also required, comrades, to use the opportunity of this NGC to evaluate the extent to which the ANC has succeeded in implementing the decisions of the 55th National Conference, and in the course of our deliberations, we should examine how our policies and programs must be recalibrated and adjusted to better serve the people of our country. More importantly, the theme of our NGC asks delegates to interrogate how the ANC must be united, how it should be strengthened and renewed to respond to the challenges and opportunities of our time. In the declaration of the 55th National Conference, we said conference rises with determination to implement the immediate program of renewal, which demonstrates that the ANC, by its actions, can be trusted to put the improvement of the conditions of life of all the people of our country at the center of all its actions. The conference made the fundamental point that for the ANC to be successful in transforming our country, in advancing the national democratic revolution, it must embark on a journey of thoroughgoing renewal. Renewal requires that we reaffirm the organizational culture and the traditions of the ANC as a movement that is rooted among the people, representing their interests, concerns, and aspirations. We require a renewal of values and ethics. We need to deal decisively with the scourge of corruption and unacceptable conduct. And we must forge a cadreship that is imbued with a militant, principled, and fighting spirit. We should also focus more attention on the implementation of our decisions. For the lack of the implementation of our decisions is a disease that we must rid our organizations and structures, including our government, of. The ANC must be united around the values and the principles of our movement. Enhancing the quality of membership and leadership is key to the renewal of the ANC, as was stated by the NEC in the January 8th statement. It continued to say that the membership system of the ANC is also being overhauled to ensure that the movement attracts into its ranks the kind of people who are willing to serve the people of South Africa. The criteria for membership and screening process to rid the ANC of criminals is an important part of the renewal process. This includes tightening and enforcing the leadership election processes. A renewed ANC must enforce discipline in the ranks of our membership. As renewal gains momentum, those whose conduct conflicts with our values and principles, the criminals, the corrupt, the careerists, extortionists, and factionalists, and those who actively work against the organization should find themselves outside of the African National Congress. The NEC in the January 8th statement was firm in stating that the renewal of the ANC must be reflected in our everyday behavior as members of the African National Congress on how we conduct ourselves, including what we post either against each other or about the African National Congress on social media. The NEC in the statement said, "Let us be known for excellence, for ethics, for humility, for hard work, and for competence." Enhancing the quality of membership and leadership is key to the renewal of the ANC. In fulfillment of the mandate of the 55th National Conference, the NEC has gone ahead to implement a number of the decisions which will be clearly reported by the Secretary General when he gives the midterm report. But amongst others, we've proceeded to implement clear accountability mechanisms to tie leadership to expectations, measurable performance, and consistent reporting. To foster a culture of ethics and integrity, the NEC has continued to strengthen the terms of reference of the Integrity Commission and introduced a compulsory course on ethics and integrity in the political education curriculum. The O.R. Tambo School of Leadership continues to effectively implement conference decisions on enhancing and deepening and broadening political education in the ANC. We should applaud the leadership of the O.R. Tambo Leadership School. The membership system was overhauled to ensure that the movement attracts into its ranks the kind of people who are willing to serve the people of South Africa. Much more work needs to be done to ensure that we attract those people who are ethical and who are prepared to serve the people of our country. As we noted in the January 8th statement, we have said that the central issue that we need to focus on is to ensure that all ANC structures must be grounded in the communities where they are located. The conference took resolutions on how to strengthen ANC branches to be more grounded amongst our people and to develop programs of action to respond to community concerns and better serve our people. Recruitment, induction, and cadre development are fundamental components of renewal. The ANC must not only draw into its ranks the best and most advanced within society, but as we are doing with the OR School of Leadership, must actively strengthen political education. At the same time, every ANC member bears a personal responsibility to develop their own understanding of the policies and programs of their movement. On coming to the alliance, the Revolutionary and Strategic Alliance grew out of struggle, out of a shared commitment to the liberation of the oppressed masses of our people. The unity of the alliance remains critical for the successful pursuit of the NDR, especially in these times when progressive ideas and values are under constant attack. Comrade O.R. Tambo's words still resonate. Ours is not merely a paper alliance created at conference tables. Our alliance is a living organism that has grown out of struggle. Close quotes. The 55th National Conference directed the NEC to conclude discussions with our alliance partners on the issue of reconfiguration of the alliance. This year, we joined our alliance partner in celebrating the 40th anniversary of COSATU, which has carried forward the tradition of militant trade unionism throughout its existence. And they celebrated their 40th anniversary just a few days ago. And we say, forward with COSATU, forward. Forward with the workers of South Africa, forward. We pledge as the ANC to stand side by side with COSATU and its various unions to protect and advance the interests of the workers of South Africa. We must acknowledge that the decision by the South African Communist Party to contest elections separately threatens the unity and the cohesion of the alliance. Recent by-elections held in various parts of our country have shown that being divided risks consequences of causing major losses and confusing the voters of our country. The Secretary General will report on the discussions that have been held with the SACP on a bilateral basis with regard to the decision that their conference has taken. This NGC must discuss the full implications of this decision for our movement and for the alliance. We need to do so, particularly as we go towards next year's local government elections. This political report reflects on developments since we held our 55th National Conference in December 2022. We should recall that the 55th conference was held at a critical time in our country. Our country was still recovering from COVID-19 pandemic, which had claimed the lives of well over 100,000 people within a short space of time. The economy was still deeply affected by the pandemic. The July 2021 civil unrest and catastrophic flooding earlier in that year had also had a major impact, not only on our people, but also on the economy of our country. The country was in the midst of the most protracted period of load shedding in our history, with 205 days of load shedding recorded in 2022 and another 330 days of load shedding to follow in 2023. It was in this context that conference emphasized that the central task of the movement was the transformation and the growth of our economy and the creation of jobs. The essential measure of the state of the nation is the quality of life of its citizens. The legacy of colonial dispossession and apartheid remains a defining feature of South African society, reflecting persistent inequality in wealth, income, and access to land. Poverty remains our greatest challenge as a nation. In 2024, nearly a quarter of households considered social grants as their main source of income. While this is a sign of the extent of the need in society, which we should be concerned about, it is also an indication of the extensive social support measures that the ANC has put in place to assist poor South Africans who still live under the long shadow of colonial exploitation and apartheid oppression that still has consequences and a legacy that we need to deal with. Around 61% of the national budget, after debt servicing costs, goes towards the social wage, including social grants, education, healthcare, housing, and free basic services. Increases in the cost of living in recent years have affected all South African households, with the poor and the working class being most vulnerable. The 55th conference directed the NEC to address the issue of the cost of living as a key priority. In line with the resolutions of the 55th conference, measures to address the cost of living have included increases in funds to our municipalities to provide free basic services to needy households, indigent families, an increase in the value of social grants, and an expansion of the list of food items zero-rated for VAT. In the last 3 years, inflation has been tapering down from 7.2% to 3.6%, providing relief to households and boosting demand in the economy. We have often said that education must be at the center of our fight against poverty. We have seen a steady progress in improving our educational outcomes. Last year, our learners at grade 12 level achieved an 87 matric pass rate, the highest ever recorded in our democratic history, which is quite phenomenal. Through NSFAS, we are supporting over 800,000 university and TVET college students. Our focus now is on expanding access to quality early childhood development and early grade literacy and numeracy. And one of the challenges we neglected over a long time was to focus on early childhood development. And when we decided to move early childhood programs from social development to basic education, we have now taken the funding of early child development to a higher level and have allocated and will continue to allocate more money for ECD in our budget. But comrades, we need to do much more if we are to have what we've always called a skills revolution. A skills revolution ought to start with early childhood development, which is effective, leading up to primary school education, right through to tertiary education as well. The skills system that we have needs to shift towards producing skills that are linked to demand in the economy. We need to consider a radical overhaul of the SETA system and introduce a dual academic and on-the-job training system. The money that is allocated from the skills development levy needs to be used effectively to make sure that the skills that we develop are clearly linked to what the economy of our country needs. In 2024, we achieved a milestone on the path towards affordable and accessible quality health care with the passage of the National Health Insurance Act. Once implemented, the NHI will ensure that all people have equal access to health care regardless of their ability to pay. And the NHI will be implemented much as we are facing a number of challenges from various stakeholders about its implementation. In preparation for the NHI and to address severe challenges in our health system, government is directing resources towards hiring more doctors, more nurses and health professionals, permanent employment of community health workers, and the purchase of new equipment. It is simply a joy when we even travel to rural clinics and hospitals and find that they are beginning to be provided with the latest high-tech health equipment deep in our rural areas. And this is the advancement that we want to see continuing. The ANC government and ANC-led government is investing in the construction, revitalization, and maintenance of facilities in our health system across the country. One of the great achievements of successive ANC administrations is the massive extension of access to basic services such as electricity, water, sanitation, and refuse removal. Since democracy, access to electricity for lighting increased from 58% to now 95%. This is a phenomenal achievement we should be pleased with. Access to piped water inside houses or yards increased from 61 to over 82%. In just over the last decade, the percentage of households in formal dwellings increased from 65% to 88%. This was in a period when the total number of households in the country grew by 3.4%, a million rather. However, many communities continue to experience problems with reliability and the quality of the services, basic services. The number of households experiencing water and electricity interruptions has increased significantly in recent years. Much of the decline is due to the weaknesses in local government, including governance lapses, poor financial management, inadequate infrastructure, maintenance, and the lack of skills. Work is underway to strengthen our municipalities to improve the delivery of basic services. When speaking about cohesion and national unity, this is central to the historic mission of the African National Congress to solve the national question by uniting the people of our country and building a sovereign South African nation. The ANC has successfully embedded these principles within our democratic constitutional order. The sense of shared nationhood is well established among South Africans of all races. However, some in our society still adhere to notions of racial superiority and seek to maintain racial privilege. The vehement opposition by some groups to our policies of transformation and redress conveniently align with wider notions of white supremacy and white victimhood fed by false claims of the persecution of white Afrikaners in our country. The propaganda of these false claims has real implications for our sovereignty, international relations, and national security. It is essential that we counter this narrative and defeat this agenda through direct and frank engagement, mobilizing broad support for the South African vision of non-racialism, reconciliation, and transformation. And this is a campaign that needs to be launched not only in our country, but globally as well, particularly to address the false notions that some globally are perpetrating about what is happening in South Africa. On the other important issue of fostering national unity and cohesion, as a country, we have a long tradition of coming together at moments of crisis to find common ground and solutions. As South Africa confronts the challenges of the moment, an inclusive national dialogue has been convened in response to calls from across society. The national dialogue provides an opportunity for all South Africans to address our challenges, to define a shared vision, and forge a path into the future. The first national convention, which was held in August of this year and was attended by over 1,000 delegates from more than 400 organizations, set the agenda and outlined the roadmap for the national dialogue. The eminent persons group, who are the champions and guarantors of the dialogue's integrity, have received inputs and nominations from civil society and are finalizing the governance structures, the operational structures and processes that will guide the national processes. In the coming year, thousands of public dialogues will take place in wards of our country. The national dialogue should produce a social compact that is widely inclusive, that has broad support in society, and that will guide the country forward along a common path. On the issue of governance, elections, and accountability, our country held its 7th election on the 29th of May 2024. The election reaffirmed that democracy is entrenched, it is robust, and it is enduring in South Africa. This was the most contested election in 30 years of our democracy, with a proliferation of parties and, for the first time, independent candidates. However, it was a severe strategic setback for the African National Congress. We received only 40% of the national vote. This was the first time since the advent of democracy that our share of the vote was less than 50%. While the ANC remains the most supported party, with almost twice as many votes as the next party, we suffered our greatest drop in support since 1994. We lost our majority nationally and in key provinces of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Among other things, the drop in support can be linked to the emergence of the MK party, the dissatisfaction of our people with unemployment and lackluster economic growth, service delivery challenges, and anger and perceptions of widespread corruption, but also the weaknesses in our own structures, which we clearly saw with a weak election campaign that could have been a lot better had our structures been stronger. The record low voter turnout of 58% affected the ANC more than other parties. The NEC agreed that the election results placed a responsibility on the ANC to give leadership to the country and ensure unity, stability, peace, and progress in the nation. After considering various available options, the NEC decided that we should invite all political parties in the National Assembly to form a government of national unity as the best approach to move the country forward. Following engagements, a government of national unity was established with 10 parties participating: the African National Congress, the DA, the IFP, the PA, FF+, the UDM, Rise Mzansi, Al-Jamaa, the PAC, and the Good Party. The parties agreed on a statement of intent committing to respect the Constitution of our country, the rule of law, and to promote accountability, transparency, integrity, and good governance. They agreed on a basic minimum program, which formed the basis for the medium-term development plan. The GNU identified 3 priorities. Firstly, to drive inclusive growth and job creation. Secondly, to reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living. And thirdly, to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. In its assessment of the first year of the GNU, the NEC agreed that we have safeguarded the core progressive policy agenda of the National Democratic Revolution. Through the GNU, the ANC has continued to execute its agenda for nation building and fundamental social and economic transformation, albeit under difficult conditions. We have stood firm against resistance campaigns mounted by right-wing forces and have not retreated from progressive domestic and foreign policy positions. The 55th Conference agreed that building an ethical and capable state is essential for economic transformation. A fundamental feature of such a state is a public service that is professional and competent. To this end, the National Framework for Professionalization of the Public Service was adopted by Cabinet in 2022. Recruitment and selection processes are being overhauled, along with performance management systems, competency-based assessments, and integrity tests are also being introduced, particularly tests that will be able to give us information about the integrity of those who should serve our people. One of the other key aspirations of the professionalization framework is the depoliticization of the public service. Those who work in all spheres of the state need to be insulated from undue political interference and vested interests as well. State capture provided a bitter lesson on the vulnerabilities of the public sector to interference by private business interests. Our conference resolved to strengthen local government by addressing political and administrative instability, improving service delivery, and strengthening accountability and financial sustainability as well. Many cities and towns across our country are failing to deliver basic services, creating serious challenges for the residents, for businesses, and for public facilities such as schools, clinics, and hospitals due to the lack of proper basic services delivery. Government has therefore initiated comprehensive reform of the local government system, including the review of the White Paper on Local Government and Local Government Fiscal Framework. The Presidency is providing targeted intervention and support in struggling municipalities, starting with eThekwini and Johannesburg. Working groups in both these metro cities have brought together mayors, senior government officials from all government spheres, business, and civil society to tackle urgent problems. The district development model continues to enhance efficiency by having the 3 spheres of government, including other key stakeholders, aligning planning, budgeting, and implementation to reduce fragmentation, duplication, and wastage. We are committed to continue working with our traditional leaders to ensure that they can play their essential role in promoting sustainable and inclusive economic development while being custodians of heritage, culture, and traditional values. To address widespread misconduct and corruption, the public procurement system needs substantive reform. The Auditor General reports that much of the corruption that they unravel in their report is embedded in our procurement system. National Treasury is preparing for implementation of the Public Procurement Act, which will introduce a new framework and establish a public procurement office. We need to ensure that procurement is used as an instrument to build Black and women-owned companies that produce the products and provide services that government needs. It is found that too many tenders that are issued to middlemen or middlewomen who do not have the relevant competence to provide services and products as well. This is a waste of public funds. It encourages corruption and does not advance real economic empowerment. One practice that has weakened the state is the practice of outsourcing functions that should be performed by government departments and public bodies. The effect of this is that public institutions no longer have the skills and the capabilities that they need because they outsource many of the functions that should be performed and conducted by a capable state. We need to get rid of outsourcing of simple and straightforward functions in our government system. Outsourcing opens the door to corruption, with many cases of tender manipulation, bribery, overpricing, and the use of front companies. But it also makes those who work for those entities that we outsource to be vulnerable because their job situation is always tied to the tenders that those companies or entities receive. Once the tender comes to an end, they become unemployed. We therefore need to give dignity to our people by making sure that they gather good skills and they have permanence in their employment through our work in the public sector. The ANC should act to end the practice of outsourcing core functions of the state. The capacity of the state to perform these functions needs to be rebuilt. The 55th conference observed that South Africa needs rapid, inclusive growth to create jobs. After more than 15 years of low economic growth, we are now beginning to see the signs of a turning point. Much as some, even within our ranks, say this is a delusion, it isn't a delusion. The most recent projections from the National Treasury show that we can achieve much higher growth over the next 5 years if we implement our policy commitments. Our experience shows that when our economy grows, jobs are also created. In the first 15 years of democracy, when our economy grew at above 3% a year, employment rose and poverty fell. In the second 15 years, when growth fell to 1%, unemployment and poverty rose. We have therefore undertaken a strategy to achieve higher levels of inclusive growth through accelerated infrastructure investment, forward-looking industrial policies, improved service delivery, land redistribution, transformative spatial planning, black economic empowerment, and supportive macroeconomic policies. As the ANC, we have been clear that growth must be inclusive. It must drive radical social and economic transformation through redistribution of wealth and opportunity. It must support empowerment of black South Africans and women. In the face of a concerted campaign to push back broad-based black economic empowerment, the ANC has remained steadfast in defense of the constitutional imperative to redress the imbalances of the past and to pass legislation that will redress those imbalances, thus enhancing the empowerment of our people as a whole. One of the most pressing challenges that we face in our country is youth unemployment. Approximately 3.5 million out of the 10 million people, young people aged 15 and 24 are not in employment, in education or training. Since October 2020, the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention and the Presidential Employment Stimulus have created earning opportunities for more than 2 million participants. The Basic Education Employment Initiative has brought young teacher assistants into almost 25,000 of our schools and been able to create 1 million job opportunities for young people as school assistants. This has been a phenomenal program that has covered the schools of our country right across. The SA Youth Mobi platform that was launched in 2020 now has over 5 million registered young people. The platform is an online network that connects unemployed young people with jobs, with learnership and training by matching them with local opportunities and support. 70% of opportunities on the platform have been accessed by young black African women. Around 65% live in households where at least one member receives a social grant. The Youth Employment Service, a joint initiative of government and business, has provided 200,000 young people with year-long work experience opportunities, making it the largest corporate-funded youth jobs program in the world. The 55th conference reaffirmed that industrial policy must be a leading instrument of economic development and transformation. South African manufacturing is under pressure at the moment from rising electricity prices and logistical challenges. For industrial policy to succeed, it must be forward-looking, positioning diverse industries to succeed in an increasingly digitized and decarbonized world economy. We need to be bold in developing new industries like battery storage, renewable energy components, and electric vehicle production. South Africa has among the best solar and wind resources in the world, with the Northern Cape being said to have the best radiation of all countries in the world. Yes, it does, including Comrade Zamani, having a town which is called Hotazel, meaning that it is as hot as hell in Hotazel. But what is pleasing with this is that we are utilizing this natural resource to attract investments. The Northern Cape has seen the most investments in renewable energy, utilizing the sun or solar, and the Eastern Cape has also seen great and increasing investments in wind power, as the Western Cape, and now Mpumalanga and Limpopo are also going to see heightened investments in utilizing our natural resources, including methane gas, which has been found in Mpumalanga. Well over 100 billion rand has been invested in renewable energy projects in the Northern Cape. And Comrade Zamani reports that we have seen great growth in the Northern Cape. Industrial expansion requires efficient, reliable, and competitive network industries. However, over the course of more than a decade, our state-owned enterprises in these network industries, particularly Eskom, Transnet, and PRASA, declined due to the effects of state capture, mismanagement, and a lack of capital investment. To correct this, and in line with the resolutions of the 55th National Conference, government is leading a process of structural transformation in energy, in water, in our ports, in our rail and telecommunications. Now, through this work, we are reducing costs, we are improving efficiency, we are lowering barriers to entry and enabling higher levels of investment. We have seen a dramatic drop in load shedding frequency and severity. This has been made possible by steady improvement in Eskom's performance and regulatory changes to allow private investment in electricity generation. And we have to applaud those who have been working on these programs of ensuring that load shedding is something of the past. We have to applaud them. Government recently finalized the Integrated Resource Plan 2025, outlining a balanced and diversified energy mix. Renewable energy capacity will increase from 17 gigawatts to over 45 gigawatts by 2030, continuing to grow to provide more than half our energy supply. The country is moving towards a competitive electricity market. While Eskom will continue to play a leading role, the new model will enable many generators to supply electricity and compete based on efficiency and costs, and leading to lower prices and more reliable supply. And this is necessary so that we see more investors coming in, alleviating the burden that our state-owned enterprise Eskom should carry on its own as we increase energy generation. We are making significant headway in increasing the volume of goods that are moved on rail lines and through ports. After dramatic decline, freight volume increased from 150 million tons in 2023 to 174 million tons in 2025. We still need to increase the volume of goods that are transported on our rail to well over 250 million tons. Transnet has established a rail infrastructure manager and made capacity available to train operating companies on a concessionary basis, whilst the rail infrastructure itself continues to be owned by the government. PRASA has restored 35 of 40 priority lines, meaning that commuters can now travel safely and affordably on locally manufactured trains. In the last financial year, PRASA recorded 77 million passenger trips on its lines, a huge increase from 39 million in the previous year. So things are moving and people are being moved on our trains. The 55th National Conference noted that expanded infrastructure investment can play a critical role in providing basic services and improving economic performance and job creation. However, over the past 15 years, investment by both the public and private sector has declined. The ANC-led government has made a commitment to invest more than 1 trillion rand in infrastructure over the next 3 years to renew our roads, our ports, our rail, our energy and water systems. This is the largest amount ever budgeted for infrastructure development in the history of our democracy. This will increase our gross fixed capital investment, which has been in decline over a number of years. Government has also allocated an additional 54 billion rand to fix water and electricity infrastructure in the 8 metros linked to institutional and financial challenges. We must use our infrastructure build to maintain maintenance programs, to create platforms for black industrialists, for workers, for small businesses and marginalized communities in urban and rural areas. We must ensure that it assists us in localizing production of critical inputs such as steel and promotes processing and beneficiation of our rich mineral endowment. Disruptions to the global trading system are threatening South African exports. Like most other countries, South Africa had punitive unilateral tariffs imposed on it by the United States of America earlier this year. Our government is continuing to engage the United States in negotiations to reach a trade agreement that benefits both countries. At the same time, we have had to accelerate the diversification of our export markets. South Africa continues to play a leading role in supporting the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area to grow South Africa's exports to the rest of the continent. We've had thoroughgoing discussions with a number of companies that do business in the rest of our continent, and our cooperation with them will be enhanced. While we strengthen the resilience of our export industries, we need to continue to advocate for an international trade regime that is fair, equitable, and rules-based. Land reform remains one of the most urgent tasks of the National Democratic Revolution. Some economists estimate that almost 25% of all land previously owned by white landowners has been restored, redistributed, and moved to state ownership. But there is still a greater hunger for land, and much work still needs to be done to give effect to the constitutional requirement that all citizens must be able to gain access to land on an equitable basis. Key tasks ahead include the improvement of support systems for beneficiaries of our land reform program. We need to accelerate the processing of outstanding restitution claims and resolve disputes more efficiently. Equally important is addressing urban land reform, as most South Africans now live in cities where access to well-located land and housing remains deeply unequal. As directed by the 55th Conference, the ANC-led government has continued to maintain macroeconomic stability and coordinate fiscal and monetary policy to support inclusive growth. Sound management of public finances is essential. A critical challenge in recent years has been the rising public debt, with more than 20% of tax revenues spent on debt servicing payments. Important progress is underway in reducing corruption, wasteful spending. However, cutting spending across the board carries significant social and economic costs. Instead, we need to reduce spending on inefficient programs and increase spending on programs with the greatest impact amongst our people, such as infrastructure investment, while maintaining social assistance to poor and working-class households. The measures that we are taking to strengthen public finances is creating a shift in public sentiment and investment. Over recent weeks, our sovereign credit rating has been upgraded. We have been removed from the FATF grey list. Interest rates on government bonds have decreased, and our currency has also strengthened. In the last few days, the National Treasury's latest bond issue was oversubscribed almost 4 times and was issued at much lower rates than before, reflecting renewed confidence in our economy. Some leading business people have said that due to the measures that we are taking, the South African economy has turned the corner after more than a decade of decline due to state capture, the COVID pandemic, the 2021 civil unrest, and the devastating floods of 2022, and weaknesses in government execution. Next year, the country will celebrate 70 years since the Women's March on the Union Buildings on the 9th of August, 1956. We will recall the courage as well as the determination of the women of our country in standing up not only to the apartheid government, but to laws, practices, and attitudes that prevented South African women from realizing their rights. We are fortunate today to have Comrade Sophie de Bruyn amongst us, who is a Isitwalandwe, who participated in that march. As the ANC, we have carried that spirit into our democratic constitution, into our laws, policies, and programs. This year, the world marked the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Platform for Action on Women's Rights and Gender Equality. This landmark development has had a profound impact on our own country's efforts to advance the position of women in society. Today, South Africa ranks second. I repeat this. South Africa ranks second out of G20 countries in terms of women representation in Parliament. Over a quarter of top managers in the private sector are now women, and just under half of senior managers in national government departments are women. Comrade Sisisi Tolashe, I have to apologize that you found so many men standing here during our candle lighting, and we hope that too will change, as you are indicating with your hands. As we all know, we have made tremendous progress since our 48th conference that was held in 1991 with regard to the empowerment of women as the African National Congress. Government has made, and I think we should applaud the ANC Women's League for continuing to champion the cause of women in our organization. Government has made a commitment to 40% preferential procurement in favor of women-owned and women-led companies. At present, only 16% of government procurement spend goes to women-owned companies, while a further 25% goes to companies that are partially women-owned. We will increase this. This demonstrates clear progress in advancing the position of women in the economy of our country and in public life since the advent of democracy. However, it also shows that we have much further to go until we acquire and achieve gender equality. We are at the midpoint of implementing the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Yet violence against women and children continues unabated. While we can point to progress in responding to instances of gender-based violence, our greatest challenge is prevention. On the 20th of November this year, government classified gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster. This classification will support implementation of the National Strategic Plan through stronger governance, funding, communication, and coordination. Our efforts to prevent gender-based violence need to be intensified massively. It also needs to be scaled up and include all sectors of society. And in this regard as well, I would like to applaud the ANC Women's League for the leadership of our country in gender-based violence prevention. Comrades, crime and violence continues to take a toll on our society. Apart from the human cost, crime impedes social development and inclusive economic growth. Police continue working with our other law enforcement agencies to dismantle organized crime syndicates and combat financial and violent crimes. Initiatives such as Operation Shanela have had great success in arresting suspects, recovering firearms, seizing stolen vehicles. The South African Police Service has increased its intake of new personnel, including into units like public order policing and detective services. While the country has recorded a decline in some crime categories, we have seen a rise in extortion, kidnapping, and illegal mining. In response, the establishment of a multidisciplinary economic infrastructure task team in 20 hotspots has led to several breakthroughs. Involvement and mobilization of communities is critical to the fight against crime. Significant effort and resources have been directed towards reviving community policing forums. ANC branches must be integrally involved in strengthening CPFs and mobilizing communities in crime-fighting campaigns. As we work to rebuild our criminal justice system, we need to act when reports emerge and allegations are made that threaten and undermine the stability and effectiveness of these institutions. In August this year, we established a commission of inquiry headed by Justice Madlanga to investigate allegations about collusion of police and political figures in criminal activity. At the same time, our National Assembly established an ad hoc committee to probe the same allegations. This is necessary to establish the facts through an independent, credible, and thoroughgoing process so that we can ensure that accountability of our institutions and safeguard public confidence in the police service. We are hopeful that the findings and recommendations from these investigations will represent a turning point in our fight against crime and corruption. The integrity and the credibility of our criminal justice system is vital to ongoing efforts to combat crime and corruption. Over the last few years, we've made significant progress in building and strengthening law enforcement agencies, security services, and prosecutorial bodies. In the 3 years since the final report of the State Capture Commission was presented to the President, government has undertaken major reforms based on its recommendations. These include a raft of new laws to strengthen our anti-corruption institutions, to enhance the procurement system, reform the intelligence services, and improve corporate accountability and public administration. The value of assets linked to state capture recovered by the state is now over 16.4 billion rand. These are monies that were misappropriated that have been returned to the state. In 2024, we established the Independent Directorate Against Corruption in the NPA. In August, the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council handed over its final report recommending the establishment of a permanent, independent, and overarching entity to deal with corruption. One of the most significant recent developments was our country's exit from the Financial Action Task Team grey list. This is good for the integrity and reputation of our financial system and a boost to South Africa's international reputation. Our 55th conference reaffirmed that Africa and its development remain the central objective of the ANC's international perspective and policy. While Africa has some of the fastest growing economies. Overall growth is constrained by poor infrastructure, low investment levels, and instability due to conflicts. Many countries are constrained by a substantial debt burden, often spending more on debt interest payments than on education, health, and infrastructure. To accelerate sustainable social development, our continent needs to focus on growing investment and trade, building infrastructure, achieving debt sustainability, and promoting peace and stability. The African Continental Free Trade Area, which entered its operational phase in 2024, presents an unprecedented opportunity for African growth and development. Intra-Africa trade only accounts for about 16% of total trade on the continent. Therefore, increasing trade between African countries through the African Continental Free Trade Area will spur industrialization, attract investment, and encourage development of regional value chains. South Africa is well positioned to benefit from access to a single African market of over 1.4 billion people. With an advanced and diversified economy, developed infrastructure, and mature capital markets, South Africa is an attractive place for companies to locate their African operations. Meaningful social development and economic growth cannot be achieved until we silence the guns on our continent. Despite progress over 3 decades, recent years have seen reversal. There's been a surge of military coups in a number of countries on our continent, in countries such as Mali, Guinea, Sudan, Chad, Burkina Faso, Niger, Gabon, and Madagascar. We have seen devastating conflict in the Sudan, the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, Tigray, and South Sudan. These conflicts have caused thousands of civilian deaths and displaced millions. Many parts of the Sahel region and northern Mozambique have suffered from terrorist attacks and insurgencies. And in line with the international stance of the ANC since 1994, our country has contributed to a number of UN, AU, and SADC peace operations. We have been part of fostering peace in Lesotho, Burundi, South Sudan, and hosted negotiations that brokered ceasefire between the government of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Movement. We must be concerned that the struggle of the people of Western Sahara for self-determination has been set back by the recent UN Security Council resolution, which strongly endorsed Morocco's autonomy plan as the most feasible solution, shifting away from past UN positions on a referendum on self-determination. This development calls for the intensification of diplomatic efforts to find a path forward that prioritizes the rights and the interests of the people of Western Sahara. The world faces severe interconnected challenges. Climate change crisis is worsening, with billions affected by underdevelopment, inequality, poverty, hunger, and unemployment. Economic growth remains subdued globally, with many nations burdened by unsustainable debt levels. The global balance of forces is shifting in different and sometimes contradictory ways. The economic and political rise of the global South countries is upending long-established power relations, and these changes are occurring amidst unpredictable and disruptive actions of a new US administration, creating uncertainty and volatility. As a movement and as South Africa, our engagement in international relations aims to promote our country's national interests and protect our sovereignty and constitutional order. It is aimed at improving the well-being, safety, and prosperity of our people. Through the G20, the BRICS, and non-aligned movement, various UN platforms, our country is making an important contribution towards an international order that is more inclusive, that is more just, stable, and peaceful. As a country, we used our G20 presidency to promote practical actions to advance the interests of our continent and the global South. Through more than 130 meetings, we engaged on a bold, transformative G20 agenda that resets relations between countries of the North and South, which strengthens multilateral institutions and the rule of law. All key agreements at the G20 Leaders Summit are important for the well-being and development of the people of our country and our continent and the world. From actions agreed on debt sustainability to just transition finance, from critical minerals to international finance architecture, the G20 outcomes provide important support for our efforts to grow and transform our economy and create jobs. I have, in a national address, thanked the people of South Africa for the manner in which all of us were able to have a very successful G20. I now thank you as members of the ANC. I particularly want to thank our government officials, our ministers, but also more particularly those who were at the center of hosting the G20, which was our Minister of International Relations and Cooperation and our Minister of Finance. But I also want to applaud our comrades in Johannesburg for making sure that they embarked on a thoroughgoing process of cleaning up the city. Comrade Dada Morero, who I continue to phone every day, was able to assure me that we will have a successful G20. So I say thank you to Johannesburg as well. Well done. South Africa continues, comrades, to play an important role in promoting peace on our continent and far afield. And in this regard, the atrocities committed by Israel against the people of Gaza prompted our government to argue before the International Court of Justice that the state of Israel was in violation of the obligations under the Genocide Convention. Since the onslaught began in October 2023, more than 70,000 people are known to have been killed in Gaza, most of whom are women and children. South Africa welcomed the agreement on a ceasefire that resulted in the return of hostages and the release of many Palestinian political prisoners. However, it is a matter of grave concern that Israel is breaking the ceasefire almost on a daily basis. Our country continues to call for an immediate end to the assault on Gaza and its people, and for meaningful negotiations to commence towards the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state existing in peace alongside the state of Israel. Anything short of self-determination and the recognition of the fundamental human rights of the Palestinian people will not be acceptable and will not bring peace to that region. We must be deeply concerned about the horrific suffering caused by the civil war in the Sudan, in which more than 150,000 people are reported to have died. South Africa continues to participate in different peace processes, seeking to bring about a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. This includes our involvement in the African Peace Initiative, in which several African leaders visited Ukraine and Russia. Our efforts are informed by commitment to peaceful resolution to various conflicts. All conflicts reveal shortcomings in international mechanisms to maintain peace and security. The UN Security Council, in particular, has shown that it is incapable in its current form of fulfilling its mandate. There is therefore an urgent need for the reform of the UN Security Council and other international institutions to ensure that they are representatives. This is in line with the decisions adopted by the African National Congress at its various conferences. Our reflection on the work of the Renewal Commission, which was decided on by our conference. The ANC's program of organizational renewal is showing progress. The SG will report on this in the medium-term report that he will present shortly. There is still important work to be done, and the movement must continue to attend to both organizational and ideological renewal. And unless the ANC succeeds in renewing itself, we will perish. We must build better and activist branches. We must revive sectorial work. We must strengthen the alliance. We must reassert ANC values and principles and strengthen organizational integrity. The ANC appointed the first Renewal Commission during 2017 and 2022 term, with a main brief to develop an ANC Vision 2032. The discussion document on the vision was completed and presented to the NEC and the National Conference in 2022. Vision 2032 will be made available to NGC delegates to consider as part of their commission deliberations. The second Renewal Commission highlights the need to continue strengthening the key elements as parts of renewal. And these include organizational design, cadre development, integrity, and revolutionary morality. As we proceed towards the 120th anniversary of the ANC, the Renewal Commission recommends specific areas for attention and focus. Firstly, to eradicate factionalism and patronage by intensifying efforts to build unity in our ranks. Secondly, to reassert political discipline and cadre accountability by becoming more systematic and vigorous in ensuring accountability. Thirdly, to modernize and streamline organizational processes to make them more efficient and accessible. And fourthly, to strengthen ideological training and leadership skills by intensifying political education, which is currently underway. Fifthly, to diversify and broaden the demographic composition of our leadership structures. And lastly, to enhance the integrity and candidate lists by strengthening transparency in candidate selection processes. We also need to reinvigorate the alliance by creating and strengthening alliance forums for discussing ideology and strategy. We must also undertake grassroots mobilization through regular engagement with the masses of our people through door-to-door engagement, imbizos, and other forms of mass work. Now, I want to stress that in the last election, comrades, if we are to be honest with each other, our door-to-door culture was not at its best. We did not do vigorous door-to-door. And as a result, on election day, that's why we saw so many people staying away from the polls. And in part, it was largely because they had never been touched by the ANC visiting their homes, visiting the various locales that they go to. We must therefore, as we approach the next local government elections, ensure that we go back to basics. We go back to what has made us a strong organization, being closely connected and rooted with our people. There is also a need for us to renew our values and political culture by reintroducing meaningful initiatives to engage communities and serve the people. We need to encourage a culture of humility and modesty amongst our leaders. This practice of showing off to our people either our wealth, our cars as we drive in our communities must come to an end. The ANC serves the people. This NGC should elaborate on specific actions to be taken under each focus area. If the ANC can demonstrably renew itself, then public attitudes towards our movement will shift from cynicism to possibly cautious optimism and ultimately to absolute embrace and support. We have to earn that trust through our actions, not our words. The world is changing in unprecedented ways, with both challenges and opportunities for our country as well. It falls on the African National Congress to provide leadership. The brave women and men of the Congress of the People pledged to strive together, sparing neither strength nor courage, until democratic changes set out in the Freedom Charter have been won, struggling together side by side. That remains our solemn commitment even today. We should now move forward to the complete realization of the National Democratic Revolution. And as we renew our movement, we should be able to get that support back from our people. It is now, as Madiba used to say, in our hands for us to renew and to rebuild the ANC. And we need to move forward to a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and may I stress, prosperous South Africa. I thank you, comrades.
Rita Mayaliana, Vemolo,
Ramaphosa, re mo rata kaofela.
Re tsamaya le yena, we molo molo.
Amandla. Amandla. Upresident usinike into ekuthiwa yi-political report, not just the political overview. He gave us the political report for the period. So after we've adopted the credentials, you will have to adopt this report as well. Now, time is against us, but we must do this. We must allow messages of support to be read now. Z6. No, Mamelan? Z6. We have 3 alliance partners. We have 3 liberation movements that have sent people here who are having a presence. So we allow Isango to speak first, followed by COSATU, followed by the Communist Party. Those are our allies. Then we'll come to the liberation movements. Sango, where is COSATU? Sondela Chazingi. Sondela Zingi. Ube solandela party.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. President of the ANC, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, ANC leaders who are present here, leadership of SANCO led by Deputy President, the President of COSATU, Comrade Zingisa, and other leaders of COSATU present. General Secretary of the SACP, although I've not seen him, Comrade Mapaila and other leaders of the SACP present. Leaders of the ANC Women's League, leaders of ANC Youth League, PYA, MDM structures present, and all the invited guests present here. Sinesiqubulo sethu kwisanko esithi asikhulumi ngesikuzwile, sikhuluma ngesikubonile, sikhuluma ngesikwaziyo. This National General Council of the ANC, Comrade President, is the constitutional imperative and a platform for the ANC to assess its work in the middle of the term of office of the National Executive Committee in between conferences, as you told us. In that, firstly, this critical assessment should include the analysis of the state of the alliance and its ability to pursue the national democratic revolution. Secondly, it must also deal with the assessment of the program of action that the ANC adopted and instructed government to implement in accordance with the work of the ANC subcommittees. Lastly, it is the political program of the ANC to renew itself to become an even more powerful instrument to drive the transformation agenda. As we share our message of support to the ANC today, it is imperative to note that it is centered around the above three important points which are discussed below. As we share our message of support to the ANC on the assessment of the state of the alliance, we want to underscore and reiterate that this is not a paper alliance, as we said, and emphasized, President. Rather, it is an alliance forged out of the necessity to pursue a program that is meant to transform the lives of our people for better. It is therefore a revolutionary alliance glued on the program to pursue the national democratic revolution in order to resolve class, race, and gender questions. Therefore, whether dialectical contradictions prevail on the alliance relations, their synthesis should be predicated from the three important aspects of our revolutionary struggle: the class, race, and gender question. Hence, the following questions are important. How far are we with resolving the class struggle in our country in line with the national democratic revolution? What is the state of racism within the country, and how are we responding to it? What is the level of gender issues, including gender-based violence, in the country, and what is our response to it? Comrade President, Lenin, in his famous question on what is to be done, teaches us that posing correct questions lead to correct answers. Therefore, the above question should lead to correct diagnosis of the problems at hand and provide correct answers. The correct answers will also help us to understand whether it is the right time for us to entertain disunity, or we should close ranks against all forms of wage drivers, who, in my view, seek to weaken the ability of the alliance to pursue the national democratic revolution. Anything or anyone who contributes to the disunity of the alliance is actually derailing the NDR and contributing to counter-revolution. Using this characterization of the problem and without questioning the conference resolution of our party, the SACP, as an important ally in this alliance, I do not think that we must not engage on whether material conditions at this juncture allows for us to contest elections separately. If we allow this to happen, what will be the perspective of society of the ideological standing of the alliance, the NDR? I'm pleading with all of us, particularly our alliance partner, SACP, that we perhaps allow space as allies to engage on this matter with the view to agree on compromises from all alliance partners. I therefore urge that we urgently convene the alliance summit to discuss and agree on the program and resolve our differences moving forward. We have a position on that. We are not going there to listen, we will engage. On the work of the ANC, both at organizational level and the government, this work is about service delivery, and it is very close to SANCO constituents. How we are assessed as SANCO by our constituents is highly dependent on the performance of the ANC-led government, especially delivery of service to the people. Therefore, the deteriorating socio-economic state of the country, which further exacerbates the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, inequality, affect our work as SANCO severely, because we are on the ground to campaign for the ANC. This, as indicated above, has a negative impact not only to the ANC relationship with the people, but it affects SANCO's relationship with the people, because we rally them behind the ANC under the pretext of better service, delivery and pursuit of the NDR. We are here to call on the ANC to not only review its strategy on delivery of services, but also to find quick and lasting solutions in order to regain the trust and support of the people. Lastly, on the question of renewal, apart from the delivery issues that we alluded above, the people of South Africa are aware that the ANC over years driven a vigorous program of transformation in the country. This includes all aspects of our struggle and touches in most of our Freedom Charter promises. This ranges from education, culture, land, laws, legislation, labor laws, comprehensive social security program, housing, water provision and electrification, infrastructure development, etc. We moved previously oppressed, mainly blacks, from 20 to above 90 in some aspect of delivery in this regard. Moreover, we commend the ANC for maintaining its political posture international and therefore making significant strides in fully participating in the global economic platforms such as the BRICS and the recent G20. Comrade President, we believe that the ANC has done well in this regard. However, the pace of service delivery must be accelerated in order to do more. As part of renewing the organization, we must look at the following 4 principles of running the organization, taking from Amical Cabral and through the eyes of the needle, the police of the ANC. The collective leadership, criticism and self-criticism to solve internal questions and contradictions, the democratic centralism, and pursuit of the revolutionary democracy. Long live Salo and ANC, live. Long live Sanko, long live Kosatu, long live SACP. I thank you. I thank you, Ugutung Sangabez, this chance.
Mandla, Mandla, long live the African National Congress, long live. Long live the South African Communist Party, long live. Long live Kosatu, long live. Ngandu Silwa Mhlali, Ngandu Silwa. Malibongwe. Gama lamakhosikazi. Ndiyabulela mqwathi. Ndibulise kumongameli we-African National Congress. Allow me, Chair, to rise respectfully on the protocol that has already been observed. Ndiyacamagwisha, ndiyathokoza, ndibulisa kubantwana bethongo. Chair, please accept our revolutionary greetings from the Federation of Elijah Baha'i, the Federation of Nana Abrams. We are indeed honored to be here and look forward to the robust engagements, concrete commitments, and most importantly, the practical actions emerging from this critical NGC. We must, as the Federation, express our deep concern with the plight of our members, the staff of the African National Congress, who once again have not been paid on time, as this is their fundamental right. Comrade Chair, this cannot be tolerated. Workers must be paid without exception. COSATU expects this NGC to focus on the challenges that are facing workers and the unemployed. We need this NGC to focus on interventions to fix the state, to grow our economy, to tackle unemployment, to slash poverty and inequality, to address crime and deal with corruption. In order for us as the Alliance to win the coming elections, we must have a good story to report to society. This necessitates a progressive budget in February that will ensure that the state is able to provide the public and municipal services that the working class and the economy depends upon. We must revive the bold commitments that have been made in the ANC-NEC January Lekgotla on a new mass industrial and small-medium enterprises finance packaging. We must, as the President has alluded, ramp up the presidential employment stimulus to take the economy to the 3% that is needed. We must also be able to slash unemployment and provide a pathway to for the employment of 12 million people that are unemployed. We must also, Chair, move from talk to action. Abantu abaji amazwi ethu. And so we need to fix dire state of local government, and we must be able to overhaul our anti-crime strategies. Law enforcement and the judiciary must be provided with the weapons to win this war. What the working class does not want to see are comrades that are focused on factional destruction. 2024 and the 40% the liberation movement received is our final wake-up call. We ignore the warning from the working class at our own peril. This NGC needs to focus on intensifying the renewal of the ANC and the unity of the alliance. And we must say, only a coherent and united alliance can emerge victorious in the most difficult local elections to date in 2026. It is therefore essential that the Alliance Political Council be urgently convened, and that we must be tasked to ensure that the alliance is united as we prepare for the local elections. The fate president of the liberation movement and the alliance, the tools to fix the state and tackle crime and corruption, the ability to respond to the needs of workers and the economy lay within our hands. And so we want to say to the ANC, to the SSCP, to COSATU, to SANCO, the alliance is not a convenience. This alliance is a weapon, but a weapon that must be sharpened, a house that must be united. We must therefore resolve what divides us. We must strengthen what holds us together. We must win the local government elections, not for leaders, but for the working class. And so we are saying, it is up to us here collectively to rise to the occasion, to provide society the leadership it is so desperately seeks. And we dare not fail, because history will not forgive us when we do. And we want to say, as the Federation of Elijah Bahai, of Nana Abrahams, we will remain a tried and tested ally in the struggle. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, National Chair. must I also follow suit and stand on the protocol as it has been announced. First of all, I just want to indicate that the General Secretary is not with us today because there's a clash in our program. But we have prioritized this NGC because we have allowed him to go and attend to something, and the 5 of us are here as officials. All right, President, I just want to start before I say anything, to start from the bottom. And thank you very much and your government for having convened a successful G20 conference. Not only about
Comrades, there must be order. Listen to what Comrade Masuk is going to say. You are in the NGC of the ANC. This is not acceptable. Be orderly. Sorry, Masuk.
Thank you very much, Chair. And Comrade President, we're saying that we want to thank you very much and applaud you with the government for the successful G20 that we have just convened. It's not only about the G20 in our case, it's the innovation that we have actually put in that process of influencing the agenda of the G20. That innovation to bring about the social summit was spot on, because it was not influencing the G20, it was also influencing how also as government and the alliance we should take into account the issues that the summit has actually raised. One of the issues, because I spent time with it, one of the issues that I think they've been raising as a case was that we should stop talking about critical minerals. We must talk about minerals, all of them, because the minerals are part of them and they belong to the people of South Africa. Secondly, President, the party want to applaud you for having represented the sovereignty of this country. We have protected our image and want to say thank you. Your stance in relation to what we stand for as a country was communicated directly to everyone else. And Comrade President, the G20, and not just that act, has allowed us to be able to realize that US cannot dictate into the world. There are a number of alternatives that we can engage in terms of engaging our future. They don't have a hold in us. And for that reason, I want to thank you also for the initiative that you have actually taken to diversify your relationship with China, with all the other countries, with India, and all the other countries that we have been involved in. We're seeing you this week, we're in Mozambique. And we are saying, extend it to Cuba, extend it to Venezuela, extend it to Western Sahara. Comrade Chair, we are here to bring a message of support to our ally, the ANC. A trusted ally of the Communist Party. This trusted ally, over the years, we have worked together, we have set out agendas, we have done analysis, we have had some convergences, and in some areas, we disagreed. But in our disagreement hasn't resulted in us destroying and killing each other. Our disagreement has always been a strength, has tended to be a strength than a weakness of our work. And you can go back to a history all along. You can talk about the Black Republic thesis. You can talk about the formation of the military wing. You can talk about the strategy and tactic that we have adopted in Rogoro in 1969. All those aspects were a product of a contradiction that we're actually dealing with. But at the end, it has given us a way forward. And those are lessons that we must draw from going forward. And we must know that even today, we shall have contradictions sometimes in the analysis of what we are supposed to do and how we must go forward. This NGC theme is quite an interesting one. And I think it's very key to what the future is setting for us. The year of a renewal to make ANC a most effective instrument of the people to achieve the vision of the Freedom Charter. The people shall govern and the people shall share in the wealth of the country. Comrade President, this is profound. And we trust that this NGC, and we know that this NGC is going to reinforce this line in the resolution. But I want to point out, President, that the only problem that we have is that the current trajectory of our economic policy is going to be problematic to be in convergence with what is going to come out of this NGC on the basis of what you have pointed out. There is a need to sit down and review the direction that we're actually taking together, and not the ANC on the side and the party somewhere on the side and COSATU somewhere on the side. And we are aggrieved by the fact that not long ago, you have taken a very serious problem in terms of setting up our economic trajectory into the future. We are concerned, President, that we were not involved as a collective. And that agenda that you have actually said, Tina sees Bugedi. The last part that I want to talk to, Comrade Chair, the Communist Party welcome and support the agenda of renewal of the ANC. And our members of the party, who are members of the ANC, have been given a task to assist the ANC in this route that you want to do to renew yourself. But at the same time, we have gone as a party beyond that to say the renewal of the ANC and the renewal of the party as you have adopted it and the renewal of the COSATU is not enough. There must be the reconfiguration of the alliance itself. But, comrades, the reconfiguration of the alliance wasn't messed up by members of the party or the members of the ANC and the general members of COSATU. This discussion has been messed up by us as leadership, because when members went into various conferences and said, move forward, we want you to conclude the alliance, the reconfiguration of the alliance, we dilly-dallied until the Communist Party took a decision to say, we are going to contest elections. And the contestation of elections, comrade, it is important, this aspect that I want to speak to, comrade, will assist you because this NGC is going to interrogate that. You have said initially here, the president said, and the president of COSATU said, we mustn't make our decision on the basis of emotions. We must listen to each other. We are saying, comrades, the decision to contest elections is not to contest the ANC. The decision to contest election is contestation of election. And this matter, comrades, is a very critical matter because it has to do with the existential being of the party. Because if the party cannot introduce socialism as a path, its existence will mean nothing. So these elections are meant to do that. And as I close, Chair, our members will be on the ground assisting the ANC to strengthen itself as members of the ANC to win elections. But at the same time, they've got a task of building a socialist movement, and they will be driving that socialist movement to elections. Mandla!
Amanda, away to Molo and Sophie. Molo and Sophie. Molo and Sophie. Molo and Sophie. Okay. Mamelani ke. Mamelani. The most important thing about a gathering of this nature is that you listen to what you like, you also listen to what you don't like. You have a duty to listen to every view. Now, we have a contradiction in the stand-up now because the translator into forward mobility. Before we break for lunch, sizawucela the following comrades abathunywe ziipati zabo. John Lukando weSwapo. Niyazi iSwapo? YaseNamibia. Comrade Lukando uzawulandelwa nguComrade Sithembiso Nyoni weZANU-PF ngapha eZimbabwe. Niyazi ZANU-PF? Oh, nambalwa ngokabayaziyo. Then kuzawuthetha uST weFrelimo, uComrade Chaki Abubakar. Ezo zii-liberation movement ezithumele i-members the-Central Committee to this NGC. Thank you, comrade.
Thank you very much, Program Director and our National Chairperson of ANC, Comrade Ngwende Simpson Matashe. Samson, thank you for correction. The President of ANC and of the Republic of Namibia, of South Africa. The President of ANC and President of the Republic of South Africa, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. The Vice President of ANC and the Republic of South Africa, Comrade Paul Mashatile. And of course, the Secretary General of ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula. Comrade Chair, in the interest of time, I recognize the rank and file of ANC as well as the salutation established earlier. On behalf of SWAPO Party leadership, we wish to extend our word of gratitude and well-wishing to the entire membership of the ANC and the people of South Africa. The President of SWAPO Party and that of the Republic of Namibia, Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, on behalf of our liberation movement SWAPO Party, acknowledge and highly appreciate the invitation to this generous historic event of ANC. In the same vein, Honorable Chair, Comrade Chair, I wish to extend a sincere apology from our Secretary General, Comrade Sophia Shaningwa, whom I personally standing in for. She wanted to be part of this historic gathering, but due to pressing commitment back home, as a week ago we had a historic regional elections and municipal where her commitment is required in terms of deployment and secondment of elected office bearer to the second and the third tier of our national government. Therefore, accept her apology. Your Excellency, Comrade President, this noble invitation and convening of ANC National General Council coincide with our freshly ended regional and local authority elections, which was held on the 26th of November 2025, on which our governing party, SWAPO, through the election with close to 70% victory in both regional and municipal elections. Therefore, this trajectory victory signifies the trust and loyalty to the people of Namibia, our former liberation movement, SWAPO Party. Therefore, our attendance at this gathering came at the right time as we prepare to take a post-mortem of our freshly ended elections, as well as preparation of our induction training programs, as the new office bearers will be deployed in key positions at our third and second tier of our government. Therefore, the 4-day session will serve as an introduction to our induction program as we go back home. Our SG opted to send 2 representatives to come and tap wisdom from these noble gatherings. Comrade Chair, I'm therefore accompanied by an esteemed Member of Parliament, who is also the deployee of the working class, the National Union of Namibian Workers, NUNW, in the name of Justine Jonas. She's there. Comrade Chairperson, we view the hosting of this event as a true reflection of good governance and acting on the will of the people and the entire population of South Africa. This event, under the theme, the renewal to make ANC effective instrument of the people to achieve vision of the Freedom Charter, and people shall govern, and the people shall share the country's wealth, speaks a lot. To conclude, dear comrades, on behalf of Namibian people, our President wishes equally to extend the position of South Africa on hosting the G20, which ended up successfully with several declarations, and wish to confirm that Namibia as a country, we stand together with South Africa without fear or favor on both declarations. We equally also thank South Africa for hosting the just ended SADC-PA Forum, which was also officiated by the Vice President, Comrade Paul Mashatile, in KZN, of which I was also part of. To conclude, we wish also to congratulate the ANC for its performance during the recent by-election that was held countrywide in South Africa. That shows the trust they have. We wish you the best of all as we move closer to the mass-based outcome and resolution of the 5th General Council of ANC that will provide new energies and result guidance with our organization and established structure. Aluta! Aluta! Maibuye! Thank you, Comrade Chairperson.
Thank you. Zanupia, it's your turn now. You're wondering. It's just peace, Agabalong.
Long live President Cyril Ramaphosa, long live! Long live President Idim Nangagwa, long live! Viva ANC, viva! Viva ZANU-PF, viva! Phansi ngabasizondayo. Comrade Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of the ANC, kindly allow me to write on the protocols already established. Your Excellency, President Ramaphosa, I come to you carrying special revolutionary greetings from your brother, your comrade in arms, and your lifelong ally, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and the First Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade Idim Nangagwa. Uthi ninjani? I convey greetings from ZANU-PF to the ANC and the people of from the people of Zimbabwe to the people of South Africa, declaring that we are one people bound by a history that spans centuries and decades and sacred blood of our people. Comrades and friends, my delegation and I are most grateful, Your Excellency, for the hospitality we have received from the people of South Africa. We want to say thank you very much. Siyabulela. This reflects our profound and unbreakable relationship between ZANU-PF and ANC. Ours is not an ordinary relationship. It is bound by the trenches where Zimbabweans and South Africans fought side by side, shedding blood for the liberation of our people. That history is sacred. That solidarity is unshakable. We are one people. We share one vision, economical and political prosperity of our nations. Freedom Charter, though born in South Africa, is ours too. It inspired the whole continent of Africa. It spoke to the dreams of the oppressed Africans. It remains a guiding star for every progressive liberation movement that seeks dignity, justice, and economic emancipation of its people. Comrades and friends, from the powerful address delivered by President Ramaphosa yesterday and the panel discussion that followed, we had the same language that resonates across liberation movements. That is self-reliance, nation building, and sovereignty. We congratulate you, President Ramaphosa, and the people of South Africa for your leadership and that of the ANC, for the economic achievements and the registered economic growth despite all the challenges. In Zimbabwe, our president always says, "Nyika inovakwa neveni vayo, ilizwe lakhiwa ngabanikazi balo." A country is built by its people. This is exactly what the ANC is doing.
Congratulations, Your Excellency. We commend the progress made towards fulfilling the Freedom Charter. As President Ramaphosa highlighted yesterday, your work is re-attracting the youth to the movement, demonstrating that liberation movements don't belong to yesterday. They also belong to generations to come. You are empowering young people and women, giving them space not only to participate, but to lead and to shape the ANC and drive the national agenda and to own the future of this great movement. The ANC is the future, just as ZANU-PF is the future in Zimbabwe. We have made the ANC, you have made the ANC attractive, Your Excellency. Again, a movement of ideas, solutions, hope, and renewal. With these achievements that you continue to register, we say with confidence, the ANC is leading today and will continue to lead for generations to come. Finally, comrades and friends, allow me to salute the people of South Africa under the stewardship of President Ramaphosa and this colossal revolutionary party, the ANC. Your voice on the international stage has become the voice of Africa. Your membership in the G20 and the BRICS is not only for South Africa, but for the whole continent. On behalf of His Excellency, the President, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, and ZANU-PF, we reaffirm our support to this and our solidarity and our shared commitment to the liberation ethos that binds us. I would like to wish this Congress the greatest of all success. As your theme goes, indeed, the people will govern. The people will share the wealth of their country. Long live ANC, long live! Phansi ngabasizondayo. Ngiyabonga.
Viva Frelimo, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Thank you. Camarada Chair, Camarada President, allow me to speak in Portuguese. I have this boy here will help me in translation, please. Camarada Presidente Matamela Ciro Ramaphosa, Presidente do ANC e Presidente da África do Sul, I say, Comrade President Matamela Ciro Ramaphosa, President of ANC and President of South Africa, Comrade Paulo Mashatile, Vice President of ANC and Vice President of South Africa, my brother and my Secretary General of ANC, Camarada Fikile Mbalula, all observe the protocols, dear comrades. Now I'll start in Portuguese. Allow me, permita-me que, em nome do camarada presidente Daniel Francisco Chapo e em nome da Frelimo, possa me dirigir a esta importante reunião.
Allow me, in the name of the comrade President Daniel Chapo, to address to this conference.
Em nome da Frelimo, queremos expressar a nossa profunda gratidão pelo convite e pela oportunidade de participarmos neste importante encontro.
In the name of Frelimo, we want to express our profound greatness for the invitation for this meeting.
Esta reunião acontece no momento em que, em julho passado, realizamos a Cimeira dos Movimentos Libertadores da África Austral.
This meeting happens in a year that in July this year, we had a summit of the liberation countries of Africa.
Onde, de forma profunda, discutimos os desafios que temos aqui a nível da região.
In a profound way, we discussed the challenge that we have here in the region.
De forma particular, gostaríamos de saudar o ANC por organizar este evento e, de forma especial, na celebração do 60º aniversário da Carta da Liberdade.
In the formal way, we would like to congratulate ANC to organize this meeting and also to greet them for the occasion of the 7th anniversary of the Freedom Charter.
Este documento não só guiou a luta contra o apartheid, como também inspirou inúmeras gerações de África.
This document, it was not only the struggle against the apartheid, but also inspired countless generations across Africa to believe that political freedom must work side by side with economic justice and social equality.
That's it. A Carta da Liberdade permanece farol que continua a orientar todos que, com a Frelimo, acreditam numa África igual, desenvolvida e soberana.
The Freedom Charter remains a beacon that continues to guide all those who, like Frelimo, believe in Africa that is equal, development and sovereign.
Por isso, quero tomar esta oportunidade para saudar o camarada Cyril Ramaphosa pelo sucesso do G20.
That's why I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa for the success of the G20.
Não há dúvida que este sucesso reafirma o compromisso do ANC em implementar as principais decisões da Carta.
There is no doubt that this event reaffirms the compromise of ANC to go forward with later.
Queremos igualmente agradecer e saudar a visita a Moçambique.
We would like also to congratulate and thank for the visit in Mozambique.
Foi momento ímpar da nossa história.
It was a single moment in our history.
Como vizinhos,
as neighbors,
devemos trabalhar juntos para desenvolver os nossos países.
We have to work together to develop our countries.
As fronteiras que existem,
the borders that are alive,
foram impostas pelos outros.
They were made by others.
Nós somos único povo.
We are one people.
Por isso temos que continuar a trabalhar juntos.
That's why we have to continue working together.
Por isso é que gostaríamos de saudar esta reunião.
That's why I would like to greet this meeting.
Em que a ANC junta pretende de forma profunda discutir de forma aberta os desafios da atualidade.
That ANC together wish to discuss in open way the situation of the ANC.
Quero reiterar o nosso compromisso, o compromisso da Frelimo e do presidente Chapo em continuarmos a trabalhar juntos.
I would like to call up the compromise of Frelimo and the President Chapo to continue working together.
A vitória do ANC é a nossa vitória.
The victory of ANC is our victory.
Por isso é que temos de trabalhar juntos.
That's why we have to work together.
Para vencermos os desafios que nós temos.
To overcome the challenge that we have.
Os tempos não são fáceis.
The times are not easy.
O inimigo do passado permanece forte.
The enemy of the past is stronger now.
Com outros métodos.
With the new methods.
Mais sofisticados.
More sophisticated.
Influenciando a juventude.
Influencing the youth.
Usando o sistema financeiro.
Using the financial system.
Algumas organizações sociais,
some social organizations,
para retirar os partidos movimentos libertadores do poder.
To take out our parts and power.
Por isso temos que trabalhar juntos.
That's why we have to work together.
E temos que estar unidos.
And we have to be united.
Permitam-me terminar.
Allow me to finalize.
porque muito já foi dito pelos que me antecederam.
Because a lot have been said for the ones that came before me.
Permitam-me terminar deixando aqui, partilhando convosco, 3 importantes mensagens.
Allow me to finish sharing with you 3 important messages.
Que normalmente, como africanos, chamamos de provérbios.
That normally, as Africans, we call it proverbs.
O primeiro,
the first one,
que é moçambicano,
that's Mozambican,
diz o seguinte:
it says so.
Só se come açúcar,
you only eat sugar,
com quem comeste sal.
With the ones you ate salt.
Isso é muito importante.
That's very important.
Para que a gente não se esqueça daqueles que trabalharam conosco nos momentos de dificuldade.
So that we don't forget the ones who used to walk with us in the struggle moments.
Temos que estar juntos até hoje.
We have to be together until today.
No momento da bonança.
Where is the time of abundance?
Para juntos partilharmos as nossas conquistas.
So that together we can share our conquests.
O segundo.
The second.
Diz que quando não existe um inimigo no nosso interior,
it says that if we don't have enemy inside,
os inimigos de fora,
the outside enemies,
jamais conseguirão nos derrotar.
They will never defeat us.
Isso é importante.
That's important.
Porque reforça a nossa união.
Because it reinforces our union.
A nossa coesão.
Our cohesion.
Por mais que tenhamos problemas,
whenever we have problems,
por mais que tenhamos desafios,
even we have challenge,
nunca devemos colocar em causa a nossa união.
We never put in case our union.
Nunca devemos colocar em causa a nossa coesão.
We never put in case our union.
O último provérbio,
the last proverb,
acredito que se assemelha do que se diz também cá na África do Sul.
I think it's almost the same with what they say here in South Africa.
Não importa quanto longa seja a noite.
It doesn't matter how long is the night.
O dia certamente virá.
For sure the day is going to come.
Pelo que percebi aqui,
with what I understand here,
tentando traduzir,
trying to translate,
Jesu afika kusene.
O Jesu fica kusene.
É importante
It's important
que todos percebamos
that we all understand,
por mais que sejam grandes nossos desafios,
whenever it's a huge our challenge,
ainda há esperança do dia de amanhã.
We still have hope for tomorrow.
E é importante
and it's important
que permanecemos juntos e unidos.
That we remain together and united.
Queremos mais uma vez dizer muito obrigado por essa oportunidade.
We'd like to say once again thank you very much for this opportunity.
Em nome do presidente Chapo e em nome da Frelimo.
In the name of President Chapo and in the name of Frelimo.
A luta continua.
The struggle continuing.
A luta. A luta. A luta. Long live President Cyril Ramaphosa. Long live President Chapo.
Long live.
Thank you very much.
Obrigado. Thank you very much.
Asundilawula ndiphethe apha. Ndiphethe apha ngokona. Mamelani ke ngoku. We're all going to break for lunch. But before we do that, let's acknowledge the following people. The Communist Party of Cuba. Send a message, and the ambassador of Cuba is here. The State of Palestine, send us a message, and the ambassador is here. Okay. Viva! Polisario Front.
Ndiyayazi ke kuthiwa polisa lo front anizuyazi. Uninzi lwenu zange niye dirhla. Zange niye dirhla. Sahara. Isithumela message and ithumele ambassador apha. Venezuela is a foreign minister. Ambassador, hlalani phansi. Ningavi ngaba basemva kwami kuphethe mina apha. Venezuela, despite the siege under which President Maduro is, sent an ambassador here from Venezuela. Now, at least Trump has confessed that if Venezuela has more oil than anybody else, has more oil even than Saudi Arabia. So that is really the issue that is there. Okay. Then let's acknowledge the following ambassadors as Koyo Abba. Algeria ikona. China ikona. Egypt ikona. France ikona. Iran ikona. Nicaragua ikona. Russia ikona. Singapore ithumele ambassador. United States of America ithumele umuntu apha. Ayikabina ambassador kodwa ithumele umuntu imelwe apha. United States of America. Vietnam ikona. FES Frederick Ebert Stiftung ikona. Young Women of Africa. Young Women of Africa. And Wabun. Okay. Center for Africa Strategy in BRICS. Okay. So we're acknowledging everybody. There's one thing that is important, including alliance partners. You are going to participate fully in the commissions. So you have an opportunity to argue your point in the commission. There will be no chairperson like me to protect you there. If you say things that make people angry, you may be thrown out of the commission. I have no control over that. Yeah? Okay, let's do this. Let's break for lunch. Mamela, before you announce him and Ted, Nizabalapa at 3:30. So nigga an hour and some minutes because nibaninzi. No mvula announce a venue the lunch. Okay.
Amandla, thank you very much, National Chair. The following are the venues for delegates, for guests who are going to be guided by the protocol representatives that have been assigned to our allies and to the guests that the National Chair just acknowledged. the OR Tambo Hall, Free State, Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and Limpopo. You will have your lunch at the OR Tambo Hall. And next to the OR Tambo Hall, which is the Clovers Green, it's Mpumalanga, Northwest, and Northern Cape. Then opposite Clovers Green, Serengeti, you have the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. Lunch for NEC and former NEC members will be in Cape Town in the International Center, right on the opposite side. And then lunch for Veterans League, NEC, as well as our international guests, will be at King Shaka International. Thank you very much.
Kan mamelani. Yabona ke kweza indawo niswa kuzo provinsini. Nenza lento ukuphuma kuthethwa. Akathi waphumani. Kuzacakiswa indaweni yakuzo. Then kuzawuthiwa formally kwajeniwe nakubuye ngo-3. Molo bata.